I am so grateful that I get to wake up early every day to keep going with my goals and working
You're
hard.
you're saying you're grateful you get to wake up early? I am so excited to hear this.
Yeah, like 50% grateful that I get to do that.
Hey, I'll take it. Welcome to the Career Corrective, your career lifeline that gives you laugh lines with Jenny and Allie. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are continuing our habit series with our final episode about boundaries.
It's the final episode.
We may talk about it again, but this is going to be a really good one. And I think it's a great way to send our amazing listeners off because we're going to talk about how gratitude can be a major ingredient in making you successful in setting your boundaries.
Yes. It's always good to practice gratitude.
That's my attitude. Jenny, did you get your item that we're going to taste for everybody today?
I got it.
Wonderful. All right, we're on our protein kick and we are going to taste for you all Quest frosted cookies. This is the chocolate cake flavor.
Right.
And for those of you who are interested, just a quick rundown. It's 90 calories for each cookie. There's 5 grams of protein and 1 net carb.
Okay.
We're going to not chew in your ear, but we're going to taste it. All right. This is, as the flavor suggests, it's called a cookie and it's coated in chocolate, but chocolate cake is the flavor. But I would say cake is more of the texture as well. If
Yes.
you like a cakey cookie, it almost tastes like a very dry ring ding without the filling.
I agree. I'm not a chocolate person,
Okay.
but this is okay. Maybe if someone forced me to eat it, I like
Understand.
my cookies to be chewy.
Anytime we taste these Quest products, the best I think it's ever going to be for me is I want something that just satisfies the idea of a sweet. And in the case of the chips, we tried all the different chips, and the taco ones were acceptable, but you're never replacing your Dorito hankering with a Quest chip.
Absolutely.
You're never going to have one of these protein cookies and think, I just had a
That's
regular
right.
cookie.
That's right. They tried really hard.
We're going to try more flavors on here as well, but I'm not a chocolate person either, but I really do like these. And I think the chocolate coating with the few sprinkles on top really does it for me.
I always love a sprinkle. So it had me there. And I would dunk it in my coffee.
Yes, I think if you dunk it, you're going to get that brick dryness to really soften up for you.
Right. Just make sure you have your water bottle close.
Always.
Always. Yeah.
That's just a life hack right there. That's not about this
Absolutely.
cookie.
Got that
All
right.
We're going to start with an article from Psychology Today, and it talks about setting boundaries that help relationships bloom. To give some context, I think I've said this before, but I think it's nice to talk about tools that will help you with your career stress, but make it about your personal life. This is my personal experience. If I can learn and practice things there and then bring them into the career world, it's a way to really learn something new and truly make it a change, a habit. That's the series we're in right now.
That's right. I agree. Love discussing the relationship piece first
Yeah.
and then how you can parlay it into your work life as well.
Right.
This is great. Some of the key points from the article
Mhm.
talk about how boundaries protect personal space and foster emotional well being.
I'm going to get metaphorical here, but
Do it.
it's easy to think of boundaries as keeping people out.
Yeah.
If you think of a house, keeping your doors, your windows locked, your brick wall in between you and others. If you were going to make sure your home was safe, literally, your doors are locked, your windows are locked before you go to bed, and keep out anyone who would want to break in. It's just basic safety. And there's
Right.
some people who don't do
Right.
that. But let's just say someone did break in your house, and let's make it very light here so we don't get
Okay.
into.
I don't like where this is going.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They just wanted to steal a pack of gum. Very silly. Or they had the wrong house. But if you called the police and somebody saw that story in the news, they're never going to say, how dare that person lock their door?
That's right.
If you think of boundaries, the invisible ones, and prioritizing yourself and advocating for yourself at work, the way that a boundary can be perceived as negative is if the perpetrator is causing the problem.
That's right. And that's on them.
If you have a boss who is healthy, we're talking the green flag boss, they're going to
Mhm.
care. They're going to treat you with respect and as a human being.
Right.
So if you're late on a deadline, that still needs to be addressed, but they would get to the bottom of it and partner with you to come up with a resolution to move forward. That's in contrast to a boss dings you with no opportunity for explanation, no conversation. There's a different approach for you as the person reporting into them. The boundary could be that they're asking for ridiculous deadlines that are impossible to meet in the first place. It becomes a whole different situation. Point being, the way the boundary becomes an issue is if someone is trying to step over them. I don't know if that's made it clearer or more muddy, but
No, that made it clear. Absolutely. Using clear, compassionate language to set boundaries, and it helps you avoid conflict.
yeah.
That's a way to ease into it.
Yeah. You always want to speak your truth, but you can absolutely do it with kindness. And that's something that would strengthen a healthy relationship. If you were going to say in your personal life, if you usually spend a holiday with a sibling and for whatever reason, there's one that comes up where you're not going to be able to make it, explain that in a clear, compassionate way would be, we love to visit. We were so excited to make the trip, but this came up. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to make it this year. If they're not disrespecting your boundaries, their response would be compassionate. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I understand. Done.
Right. But what
No,
if you get pushback on that? How do you
you
handle that?
going back to what we talked about in past episodes to speak what your action and behavior will be. You don't have to say this, but they don't have to like it, and you can't control or have impact on what they'll do and say. All you can do is stick to your boundary and be as compassionate and kind as possible. If it gets to a point where it's an unproductive conversation, I think just gracefully exiting with something like, I'm very sorry you feel that way. You could be sorry they feel that way, but it's not changing your behavior.
Right. You're just staying positive.
Yes.
Okay.
I think another thing that can help with handling pushback with the gratitude aspect of the article here is to talk about to that person, we get to spend other times together, and I'm grateful for whatever time we can spend. And that helps you remember there is more to the relationship, and maybe just pointing that out can help them come around. If not, you're still keeping your focus on you're grateful for whatever you're able to do. And if that person is not, then working with yourself to understand you did everything you could. And if they have an issue with it, then they have an issue with it. You can't be both sides of any relationship.
No, just your side. And that's the side that's important.
And it's the side you can control.
That's right. So why are boundaries healthy?
I think the first thing is that old example of the airplane
Yes.
when they do the safety intro and talk about the oxygen masks. You can't support others and you can't help someone else until you put your oxygen mask on yourself.
That's right.
If you prioritize your needs, you're respecting yourself. And I think it's really important to remember where somebody is coming from. If you are someone who is good at this and taking care of yourself and you have that all set up, there's no need for conversations about boundaries and why it's so important. We're really thinking about having those attributes and set up in your life to where this even needs to be in the forefront because it leads to stress, burnout, lack of confidence, negative mental health. And so that's the context here.
Okay. Yes.
If we think about why else they're necessary for healthy relationships, I think in the article it mentions this, and I have seen this for myself and helped others with this. Boundaries are a great flashlight to show you what's
Ooh.
healthy and necessary. If you set a boundary and someone respects that, that's going to enhance your relationship. Your relationship will grow. You'll be showing them that you require self-respect. And when they show you that self-respect by respecting the boundary, that's going to make you feel close to them. Or if it's a boss, it would be more likely to stay there because you're being treated in a way that nourishes the back and forth. It makes you feel valued. It makes you feel like, wow, this person is responsible for our department, but they, in addition to liking my hard work, they respect me as a human being. And so that makes me want to work for them and stay working for them.
Absolutely.
And on the other hand, if you're not respected, enforcing the boundary and setting the boundary will show you that very quickly. This is not a healthy relationship. My boss does not respect my boundaries. It's an opportunity to see if you can move the needle there, because if not, it shines the light on that it's an unhealthy relationship.
I like that. I really like the shining the flashlight.
Like those scary shows where they go into the hotel rooms.
Yes. Because it can be scary if you're not practicing it and you're not comfortable with it. It can be scary. It's for the health. So it's very important.
And if you flip that around, it's uncomfortable and avoiding boundaries feels easier initially. If you're saying no, a little kid, if they want a cookie, they just keep asking you and asking you and asking you. If you're busy, you're tired, you've got a lot going on, it feels easier to give them the cookie. And then they think, well, if I just ask that fourth time, that's when they give in. So the boundary, and it's a really silly way to talk about it, but it's annoying, uncomfortable, frustrating to set the boundary with the child and say no. It feels easier to just give it to them initially, but over time, it's going to cause frustration because they steamroll that boundary of you saying no. And that's the same for all of these other relationships, including work. If your boss always throws extra things at you and you're the one who takes them on, then you're going to be complaining that they don't ask anyone else.
Right. Yeah. I think without the boundaries, it can lead to you feeling angry and kind of withdraw from the situation. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, what other choice would you have? You think
True.
you have to set the boundary and enforce it in the first place. People aren't just going to guess and do what's best for you. I wish the world were that way.
I do too. This is why we have to keep going with our boundaries, because it's not.
Actually, the article talks about too that research shows that families with healthy boundaries handle stress better, have more balance, and are actually closer. It might feel intuitive to say boundaries create distance. They don't. The point that they're making in the article is that when everyone knows where they stand, relationships really flourish even during tough times. And I've noticed that for myself in my immediate family, my parents and my sister, is that my father was always very good at being honest and forthright, truthful, and he didn't sugarcoat things. Right. And he had that reputation within our larger family, as you know. But the big thing for us is that we always knew that we were fiercely loved. That didn't mean it was going to be, you get whatever you want. He showed love in a very healthy way, boundaries and honesty and letting you know where you stand with that truthfulness, even if it was hard to hear at certain points. I think in the end, it creates a confidence in children, because I always knew that it was a very firm foundation. And that's how I learned to be in my relationships. And I think that habit of communicating with honesty, even when it feels hard, is invaluable to the health of your personal and professional relationships. I really live by that, and it served me very well in both areas. But I had that great template and example to know that the person is speaking from a loving place and acting from a loving place is very reassuring. You don't have to second guess anything that's happening. You can just operate with total presence and without self-consciousness.
Absolutely. And what a gift it is that he taught you that. He set you up for doing that in your early life and all throughout your life, really.
We hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. If you want to go back to the full episode where we talk about gratitude and boundaries and how this applies at work and get into all those good details that can help you in your work life, go back to our full episode, Gratitude and Boundaries, Fueling Your Success. It was a part of our habit series. We linked it for you in the description below. See you there.